Sausage Party. This movie was way better than I thought it was going to be. This movie, it's a Seth Rogen comedy, and I'm like, Seth Rogen comedy's wrong. This movie had everything going against it. This movie is a movie about religion. Actually, it's an anti-religious movie. This is I guess you could call this movie atheist propaganda? Kind of. Though it's more of a supportive skepticism, it's definitely in favor of an atheistic opinion, a skeptical opinion, a reasonable opinion. We'll get into that. So, first I gotta explain the religion. The religion is that these food products, when they are taken out of the store, they go to the great beyond, where all of their fantasies come true. The Middle Eastern things, believe they'll get bottles of extra virgin olive oil, and some people say it's heaven, and it's different forms of heaven, basically. Everyone believes different things. There's some weird ideology that's mixed in when they're singing this song, because the song is what the religion is based around. And so they sing this song every morning. Alright. So the gods are the humans. The humans come and take them to the great beyond. And holy shit, 10 minutes into this movie, there was a joke about Catch-22. I was like, fuck it, yes, I appreciate this. I appreciate this joke. This joke gets put on a pedestal because it is a Catch-22 joke. Which means that, one, it's a joke that I got. Two, it's a joke I got the reference to. Three, that's such a great joke to use. It's a reference to Chief White Half Hope where he threatens somebody, but it's Chief Firewater threatening a thing of honey mustard. So the thing of honey mustard goes to the great beyond, comes back, and what happens is that basically I'm going to tell you what this movie is about in a metaphorical sense. So this movie is about, I guess you could call it, falling into atheism. And so you've got this society where everyone grows up being religious. Everyone believes in the thing. You all believe different things about religion, but pretty much a lot of your beliefs are the same, though you may have conflicting ideologies. You're like, okay. And so this is about Frank, specifically. It's almost like a Prometheus stealing fire from the gods kind of thing. Like, he comes down from the mountain, and rather than telling everybody, I have been divinely inspired, read my textbook, follow my religion. It's like, I have come from the mountain and seen evidence, and the great beyond is bullshit. And you get two paths, because you get the Michael Cera path and you get the Seth Rogen path. The Seth Rogen path is where the intellectual discovery, where he finds the people who created the religion to prevent people from becoming scared of being taken out of the store, and prevents them from basically shitting themselves anytime the store opens. And you're like, oh, okay, they use religion as a way to kind of explain what happens when something unknown. And this thing of honey mustard, you find out that the non-perishables, because they've been around for a long time and they don't go bad. They're basically immortal. I think that's funny that one of them is one of the non-perishables is a fucking Twinkie. That's fucking great. There's a lot of clever commentary in this movie, and so then Frank is learning these truths and is finding this evidence that when you leave here, it's not anything good. You die. And in this movie, in horrific ways. But I think that what it was supposed to mean is that when you die, you die. There is no great beyond. Now, I mean, some might say that the being taken out would be actually going to hell, or which could imply that everyone is going to hell. But it's more probably along the lines of just that everybody's gonna die. Everything dies. I mean, it's like, you know, what makes humans special among things that die? The billions upon billions upon billions of organisms that have ever lived, and humans are the only ones that get a soul. What makes us special? Do apes have souls? Humans are apes. You know, you start having those questions, and you're like, you know, that get uncomfortable for religious people, or they come down with very simple answers to these arguments with no real way of objectifying them. And Frank goes from being the believer to the skeptic to the atheist, to the anti-theist, or the asshole atheist, to the better informed, more well-spoken atheist. And he has to do this because he's been shown this evidence, and suddenly his faith is shaken, and now he's like, oh my God, you have to believe me, you have to join me. What you're doing is making no sense, and you have to. There's no option here. Like, if you don't do this, you're not reasonable. If you're not, and people say, and in response, people call him intolerant, and there's a lot of religious commentary, both on like on like Middle Eastern religious politics and American Christianity, religion in general, arguments for theism, and how so many people have beliefs that they don't question in any way, and they don't wonder where the morality is in their beliefs, and what constitutes as moral. And there's this weird, and they talk about morals a lot in the movie. There's some slut shaming that the Pakistani burrito that is along the journey basically slut shames Brenda for her and Frank, the main characters, for touching tips, where they basically just went like that to each other, through the packaging. And it's a statement on how Christians define morals in this weird way. So it's like, sex for procreation, moral. Sex for fun while you're married, actually, some Christian groups say that no, you can only have sex for procreation. That is true. Then there are people who say that you can have sex for fun within marriage, but sex for fun outside of marriage, or sex for procreation outside of marriage, are both totally unacceptable concepts, and are now, because of this change in status, suddenly it's completely wrong. Now you should be ashamed of yourself for wanting to enjoy yourself with somebody that you love and care about. You're like, okay. And then they talk a little bit about homosexuality, because there's this taco that wants to fuck Brenda, the bun, and there's basically this religious conversation about, well, the gods, people are always watching, even when the store is closed, so it's like, even if we wanted to, we couldn't, because we're always being watched. So I don't want to get in trouble for something that might be fun. Okay, there's some weird things about like what kind of products can be alive in this movie. There's a douche that's alive. There is a used condom. the gum and candy are also kind of alive, but the machines that spit out the candy kind of are alive. I don't know. It's kind of like Fear and Loathing rules, where there is no rules. But so then you've got this. He discovers the truth. Then you've got the Michael Cera sausage, and the Michael Cera sausage had to go through experience. The Michael Cera sausage experience is getting taken to a house, seeing the horrors that actually occur in the great beyond, realizing that everybody just dies. Either you spoil or you get eaten. More likely the latter, but either case. It's terrifying. He wants to get the fuck out of there. He does. And he ends up, finding out about the fallibility of humans by kind of accidentally murdering somebody. It's hard to say whether it was completely on purpose or not. There's a lot of drug jokes in this movie, and I love drug jokes because they feel real. There's also a lot of language and crude language, cursing, swearing. It is rated R. And to be frank, I liked the swearing. It all felt natural. There's a point where the Jewish Jewish bagel called the Pakistani burrito a cunt. That's fucking great! Now, nobody calls people cunts in like American media. I think it's an underused insult. But anyways, there's a lot of commentary on social issues and basically how religion is really kind of like slowing society down, and the more that information that you learn, the more you realize that there's probably not a God. And you're like, oh, and even if there was a God, my religion probably isn't right, because then you start to look at like the literary history of texts, and you start saying, oh man, there's been a lot of corruptions in these texts. There's been political agendas behind them and exaggerations. Oh man, this was written about something that happened a long time before it, referencing texts that aren't available. Oh man. Ooh, there's these texts that reference somebody more than 10 years after they died, and there's like no contemporary evidence to support that this one guy who lived for about 30 years between 0 and 33 AD and was supposedly had a ministry. There's no documents during the time that he was alive about him at all. Then you start realizing that, there could be some problems in your religious beliefs. Also, if you consider the ethical nature of a lot of religious people, a lot of those behaviors won't fly in this century, and so you're either a fundamentalist or you're an unbeliever. It's like you cherry pick, you're moderate, and in which case, you justify, yeah. Oh, a lot, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of good stereotypes in this movie. They cover a lot of people. They cover Spanish people. They cover Catholics. They cover Christians, Jews, Muslims, different kinds of Muslims. They cover a lot of different people. And honestly, this movie had everything going against it. As an atheist agenda movie, as an animated film that was rated R, this movie in its first week should not have earned triple its budget in the box office. There should have been no way that this movie should have done this well already. Like, when you compare the box office numbers for, I don't know, something like Ghostbusters, where I think the budget was like 144 million, and I think the box office gross was 184 or 186 million, something in there. Then you have Sausage Party, which was made for an estimated budget of, I think, 15 million, and has made $45 million so far in its box office release. You're like, wow, this movie is actually doing really well proportionally to how much money was put into it. I don't think it'll go. Well, I don't think it'll get a sequel, even though they kind of leave room at the end for there to be a sequel. Eventually, everyone comes together. You know, Frank tries to show everybody pretty late into the movie that by showing the cookbook recipes that he finds in another part of the store, the evidence, and everyone rejects them. They say you're intolerant. It's not actually evidence. That's only a theory. And there's this thing where they freak out at first, actually, where they realize, holy shit, this is probably true. And they're like, well, we can't run, we can't hide or fight, so, you know, they're fucking gods. You know, we may as well, you know, we can't win. So we're just gonna stick to our beliefs and say that you're wrong and make up excuses for why you're wrong. Sound familiar? So then Michael Sarasosha shows up. It's like, hey, people aren't immortal. I've got the head of one. And you're like, holy fucking shit, Michael Sarasosage, where the fuck did you, what, fucking human head, what the fuck? And appropriately, Frank freaks out too. It's good to know. Good to know. Frank is not a psychopath. So, then there's this big fight scene at the end where they finally realize, you know what? After Frank gives an inspiring speech about how he was wrong and how he needs to teach them in a way that will also give them hope. You know, it's not just dashing your dreams into this harsh reality, but saying your dreams are based on falsehood. We can make new dreams based on truth. So then they find out, hey, you know, there was a guy who did bath salts, James Franco, could see all the food. So they stole some of his bath salts and were like, hey, if we shoot toothpicks covered in this shit into people, they'll see us. If nothing else, it'll cause chaos and they'll probably freak out and not want to buy us. Quite possibly, you know, they're tripping for a few minutes or so. And they have this big fucking fight scene, and it's pretty fucking great. I think that one of the best recurring characters who is not a main character is the manager, who is fucking, you know, you can tell he's a manager at a supermarket. He fucking hates his life. You know, like half the time it's like super real. Every line of dialogue from him is like super real, and you're like, holy shit, I understand exactly where this man is coming from. I do not blame him for hating his life and his very existence. I mean, wow. It's pretty insane. So, this food fight scene ends up being fucking great. I mean, there's the scene at the end of Food Fight and this aren't even comparable. You know, now I'll say that one of the reasons that Food Fight failed in its animation was that it tried to do something too complex with characters that should have been simple, and then simple things that should have been more complex. Sausage Party was like, we're gonna do a simple animation style, and we're gonna make all the everything exaggerated, you know, and we're gonna make it like the actual food, and then the food is gonna have is all gonna still be able to move and things like that. We're still gonna give them arms and legs and anthropomorphize them. That way we can stick with simple designs and then work around the simplicity of those designs to express the emotions that things are feeling. Even though it's like the lid to a jar, going up and down on top of the jar, for like the honey mustard or something like that, with a pair of eyes on top of it. The way that the jar moves and the way that the eyes move, you're like, I connect. You can connect with them emotionally, which is weird. It's really weird to fucking connect with a jar of honey mustard. But yeah, so then this food fight gets insane and involves a douche, a roid-raged douche. And I don't mean a douche as in like a douchebag, though I do mean he is a douchebag. He is a douche who is also a douchebag. Roided out on random other fluids like grape juice and alcohol, shoved up the manager's ass while the manager's got a gun, tripping balls, seeing all this food fucking running around, and oh man, Frank's good. It's good. It's good shit. It's good shit. Actually, I was pretty interested all the way through. I thought that this was going to be a pretty boring fight scene, but they managed to keep my interest for the whole thing, which I was pretty impressed with. After the big fight scene, everyone's like, yeah, okay, you know what? We managed to take out some of the humans, and as soon as they saw us, they started fucking wrecking our shit. That's not okay, but we kicked their asses. So now we know. Great Beyond is bullshit, but we can fight back. So then afterwards, Frank and Brenda, the sausage and the bun, they finally get to do it. Sliding, well, it's more like they're making out. And then it turns into a fucking orgy. It turns into a fucking orgy. I'm just like, what the fuck? Just like everyone starts fucking each other. Just like huge fucking orgy. I mean, it started with Frank and Brenda, and then the lesbian taco Catholic chick comes up and has started eating out Brenda, and like the bagel and the burrito and Frank are all jerking off watching, and then like Frank is sticking himself through the Jewish bagel and into the guy, through the bun, and it's like everyone just fucking each other every which way, and you're like, okay. Yeah, this is the thing that's happening. I guess the point is, you can just fucking have fun and not fucking worry about religious bullshit preventing you from enjoying yourself if you're atheist. It's not a big, having orgies is not like a problem or anything, And I agree that having orgies isn't a problem. It was just really fucking weird to see. I guess everyone felt so free and so horny after their epic victory that, they just had to fuck. They just had to fuck profusely. But it's food sex, so, not, I mean, they're pretty, like, weirdly, grossly graphic about it. Kind of funny, but also uncomfortable. I was like, I mean, it's absolutely crude, not at all tasteful, and I'm like, my feelings are so mixed on this scene. I'm just like, And then they get meta afterwards, and for the ending scene, they're like, so the whiskey that had made up the religion got like really fucking stoned on bath salts and was like, and the veil of unreality got lifted and we could see into reality, and it turns out you're all puppets on strings. And he goes and he talks to Frank, and he's like, you're being controlled by some guy named some Jewish guy named Seth Rogen. And he's like, and it shows a picture of like a hologram of Seth Rogen's fucking face in this like 3D animated movie. And Frank's like, it's Jewish? You're just like, what the fuck? And apparently this piece of gum that was under the desk of a famous physicist for 20 years, Stephen Hawking. which you can tell it's a clear reference because the stick of gum is riding in a wheelchair with a synthesized with a voice synthesizer and a pair of glasses, and so you're like, oh, the piece of gum is fucking Stephen Hawking. All right, cool. That's a cool analog, I guess. I don't know. Builds this portal to go into the real world, and I guess to liberate themselves. I don't fucking know. And then they cut. That's the end, and it's overall it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. It's got like 70 to 80% right now on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe, and like Metacritic and IMDb are lower. They're like 50, 60%. I mean, some of them they might even be below 50%. But this was actually pretty poignant and definitely crude. And I haven't read the negative reviews of this movie, but I fear that some of them may just be because of the disdain for religion that this movie shows. This movie does not say, oh, but so they're like, religion has a clear purpose in our society now. He's like, religion served, basically the movie says, religion served a purpose a long time ago. It comforted people when they don't know what was going on in the outside world, and it helped them get on with their everyday lives. Now it's turned kind of cultish and been entirely corrupted, and we don't need it anymore because we know what happens outside, and we know some of the things that we can do to stop it. We know that the things that we had attributed to these gods is no longer applicable. They're non-arguments anymore, and to continue to believe this in spite of the evidence is delusional. So they say that it had a purpose, and now we don't need it anymore. We can make a better society without it, and because it only serves to divide us, and cause Austrians to come in Austrian mayonnaise or something like that, Austrian mustard to come into power and attempt to kill the Jews. There's a lot of food puns in this movie, and I actually didn't mind the product placement. Most of it was pretty subtle, so it was worked in well enough, and like none of the products themselves were product placement. Not directly. There's a scene where like there's an Oreo picking part of itself up in like this PTSD war zone after there's a cart crash, and you're like, oh, it's an Oreo. Does it say Oreo on it? They don't show you a package of Oreos, but it's an Oreo. They use the names of a few products and some of the puns that they make, but overall, actually, this had less product placement than Food Fight and was less horrorish, and I don't know. This felt like a really good movie because of how clear it was. There was no bullshit, no political correctness. Yes, this movie had an agenda, and it was a very clear agenda. But this movie was also hilarious, gave a good story, and a lot happened. And I definitely recommend going to see it. So yeah, Sausage Party. I gave it I give this like an 8.5 out of 10. And that might sound like a lot, but this movie was actually like really good. This is also one of the best comedies that I've seen in quite a while. I don't even remember the last good comedy movie that I saw. Anyways, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, tune in. I'll watch more movies. Boom!